Wow, wonderful, wonderful. I I I connect and relate with the how you brought it up, how you brought it up from how it begins and progresses and eventually how it's grown and shown horns, especially where you indicated the effect when you start withdrawing, when you start calling names and places. And that is already a sure sign of dissatisfaction. That is
Yeah.
already a sure sign of dissatisfaction. And maybe just to relate it a little bit with the generations that we are in. You've mentioned
Mm.
your early childhood, the way it was not just the teacher who was caning you, but everyone. It was like
Yes.
everyone had the responsibility to shape you up into that child they wanted all, or they would raise as a community.
Exactly.
And look at us, we were so bearing, right? We were so
Mm.
tolerant, and
Yes.
we would go through this. And I think that has helped us within our, it has either helped us or not worked so well for us because we've undergone a lot. We've
Mhm.
undergone a lot, I would say so, from the times we got employed. I would also confidently say that there is a time that bosses were quite difficult to work with.
Mm.
I remember the first boss I had, you would write a memo and you would take the paper and squeeze it and throw it on your face. What is this you've written? What is this? Uh, What is this? And he would not even talk to you, or he would bang the door, and we would be miserable and just stop there and look at them. I'm sure if we
Yes.
had other alternatives, we would do. But look at us. We stuck there. We stuck with it. And now we can look back, laugh, and I would something comes in my heart as a human being, as a leader, that I would
Mm.
not do that to someone. I
Yeah.
would not do that to someone. But look at the new generation, Steve. Would you
Yes.
imagine that would they go through that?
No, I doubt it. I mean, there's the change that fundamentally has them looking at life differently from us is that their opportunities are much larger compared to ours. We had sort of a narrow view. Without this global digital village, it was pretty clear you were going to end up in certain areas of life, whether you'll be a teacher, whether you'll be working in the government, whether you'll be in the health sector. Those were clear cut out. Right now, with the way the world has evolved, the way our country has evolved, people being able to work from home remotely, and even those who have even managed to just get hired outside and go work in different countries, their mind has already expanded a lot.
Mm.
And what they have exposed to means that now they will not tolerate a lot. They will not tolerate a lot because they feel there's a lot of alternatives. But for us, as we're growing up, when you have limited alternatives, you also try to make sure that that opportunity that you have, you hold on to it with everything that you have. Does that mean that you'll have to undergo certain events that really belittle you? Yes, because at that moment, you are thinking, if I lose this opportunity, I'll never get another one. But right now, there's so much opportunity available. And because of alternatives, people will not tolerate much. I'm just imagining the time that we used to go to town and have a select number of restaurants
Mhm,
that you could enter, like you could go.
mhm,
And whatever the price it was, you had to pay for it, no matter how even the waiters behaved. Those were the periods that, or rather the period that customer experience was an unheard of phrase, because
mhm.
in essence, there was little alternatives for a person to get. And the same thing happens also, I think, when you talk about leadership. Nowadays, people will not stomach a leader who they feel will belittle them, a leader who will not give them the opportunity to listen to them. I'm just thinking about the situations that you find your team member questioning an idea while you as a leader, you are actually sharing a vision of something. It was unheard of.
Mhm.
This, we grew up or had an opportunity to meet what was a classic top-down engagement. The way you mentioned about somebody drawing your work and not even telling you what was wrong. You know,
Mhm.
be that the person was hiding the fact that they could not actually tell you exactly what they wanted, but they also knew what you had. They have a certain picture, it's very difficult to communicate. Then they feel frustrated and they take it out on you. However, the question is, even in that element, you still hold them with the revereness because they are a leader. It's your boss or manager. Nowadays, with the not the millennials, we're talking about Generation Z, you will find that they will challenge your idea, will challenge your thoughts. And as a leader, then you have to be humble enough to take the feedback and see it from a different lens, and also give them the opportunity to challenge you. It helps both sides to see both sides. It helps to understand and also open you up to other dimensions, because you probably are just seeing one lens, and for them, they are seeing a different lens. And this kind of engagement also continues to build trust. I'm looking at certain leaders I've worked with who cut across different generations, and you can feel their presence, a tangible presence, where in any situation, people are feeling that as long we have that person as our leader,
Mhm.
things will be okay. And the others, you don't even want to have them when there's a problem, because they will now multiply the effect of the problem. So which one do you want to end up being with? Because the prior has learned how to build trust through different elements of leadership, being authentic, opening up, sharing, giving people opportunity. And they know how to handle engagements, even with different generations. And that's what I love mostly, especially being in a corporate setting. You will get different people with different approaches, their way of engagement, their way of even just sharing that trust is different, because your leader will trust you to execute something and will expect you to do it. But they also trust you to come back to them if you find a challenge and a problem. Now, that last part, the leader has to work twice as hard to establish it, to make sure that you know they are there available for you. It is not like the old days that if you have a problem, solve it, don't bring it to me.
Mm.
Now, the leadership piece, I find also moving to a slight mentorship or coaching exercise.
Very elaborate. Thank you for that. And I got the different, you have given an analogy of different. We started from the Gen Zs. Actually, we started from our own. Are we millennials? I think so.
Yes, we are.
Then to Gen Zs, and we've gone to the corporate, and I've given a bit of the public sector. And you've also mentioned a bit of the changing notion of leaders,
Mm,
especially in the private sector. They're a bit embracing main aspects of the current generation, and they're readily available to empower them, to mentor them, to coach them. And
yes.
in all this, Steve,
Mm,
how would you scale trust? How would you weigh in, given the millennials we are still at work, given the Gen Zs, given the public sector, given the private sector, given the political world that we've not touched on? How would you
mm.
scale the issues of trust? Where are we? Are we more trusting? Are we increasing trust? Is it limiting? Suppose one was 0 and 10 was the highest. Where are we?
Ah, okay. Now, before I answer that, I just remembered my opening answer to your question was, do people quit their bosses or not? And I said it's a yes and no. I think for the no part, which I didn't get to mention, and I would want just to have it out there, is that sometimes we also quit because of opportunities. We might leave an organization, you might leave a boss who's very good for you, not because they had a bad character or anything, but because they have helped you grow by being that good leader who gave you trust, grown you to a point that now you can spread your wings. And that now, for me, is the no part, that you may leave a place, not because of the people themselves, it's because they have grown you and now given you the launch pad to another place. So that is the no part. It is not as big. It is just to define that there are leaders who will grow you and give you the opportunity to fly off into another opportunity, into another area for growth.
Mhm,
And this now segues to the level of trust. This at this point, where the leaders have grown you, I'll tell you the trust level will be in the last, I would say, digits of 9, 10. Because in that environment, there's enough proof that those type of leaders will grow you. Those type of leaders take care of their people. Those are the type of leaders that you want to have when you are facing a challenge, and you'll definitely give them high marks. These are leaders who have learned for a period of time how to act as a good leader with proper character.
mhm,
They are not the ones who will preach about wine and take water, or the inverse of
mhm,
itself.
mhm,
They are people who, what they say, they mean it. And when they do something wrong or they find they've erred, they are willing to admit it and move forward. They are willing to give you that, I would say, trust level the way they give themselves.
mhm,
The instances that I've found myself, and I would say most of the times when it's looking at the corporate area, I'll always start with the highest. I'll give you the highest percentile. We'll start with full marks,
mhm,
10. It reminds me one time when we were in university, and I would find that our lecturer would mark our papers, and where we are wrong, he would even take away marks.
mhm.
Rather than just giving you a 0, you start getting a -1, -2. At the end of the day, you even wonder whether it was good to attempt. And they will have a good disclaimer. If you don't know the answer, please don't put anything, because it might end up taking away marks. And that's
Now,
why,
the little you
you,
had.
yes, yes. So I will give you the full marks, but it is up to you to maintain it at that level. Our engagements, as we continue, will always have an impact on that. That's my approach. That's my approach. Somebody else might be saying, I'll start with giving you a very low trust level. Let's build it up as we go. But I'll do the inverse, because by doing the inverse, I will have an open mind to say, I won't waste my time trying to think of the various ways something can go wrong where you do it intentionally. I don't want to build up mountains out of molehills or any other else. And it's a challenge. It's not easy because even as much as we interact with each other's, one of the things you'll find in any corporate is that there's always a conversation around, there's always information, and the pressure within the organization can make somebody misinterpret your intention or action, resulting maybe to thinking that you have lost trust, you have eroded their trust, and you have to rebuild it. So those are things that I've noticed mostly in the corporate sector. When you move out into real life, and especially now that we're in Kenya, I have to apply the inverse. I will now give you a 0 before we move because I don't know why I should give you much higher than that. You need to prove yourself. Family and friends, as you mentioned at the onset, will always feature in our list because we are born to that family. We don't know anyone else. And we are hardwired in our early stages to say these are the people who love us. So you always have good trust. It's only up to the point where you find that they do something different that now you start calibrating it. But you'll always have them on the high scale. All these other areas, and using my approach in corporate is to try to bring the same, but knowing that both of us have to work hard to maintain it at that level. Else, we are downgrading, we are upgrading, because the same could be happening on your end when you are assessing me on the level of trust you are going to give me.